everyone, and welcome back to Astrology Now podcast. My name is Christine Rodriguez, and today we are going to discuss Saturn and Mercury going direct here in the upcoming week, and we are also going to touch on Venus in Scorpio very briefly. We'll talk more about it in our December horoscope, but Venus is joining the party here for Scorpio season, and so I thought it was worth noting. So it's later in the day as I record this on Friday, and I just have to note I am back here in Las Vegas, and it's been raining a ton since I've been back, which is so nice. It's just so refreshing. Whenever I left Vegas, it was just like super hot, so intense, like so dry in the middle, or really at the kind of later part of summer. And now we're in our rainy season and we have snow-capped mountains. When you look out into the distance, there is snow on the hills. And as I've mentioned before, I'm going to start making some more YouTube videos. I would like to be more active on YouTube. So if you don't follow already, go follow me on YouTube. That's where I've done more of my research videos because I feel like it's so much easier to have a visual. But I may go outside and film these hills for you all so you can just see how unbelievably beautiful it is. And in the desert, it's just kind of like this incredible dichotomy. And so here in the United States, we're actually moving into a more Vata season where it's lighter, it's crisper, it's cooler. Vata in Ayurveda is ether and air. And so it's associated to being cold, things that are cool, light, crunchy, fresh, and of course, living by the mountains and having fresh prana, the life force energy. There is this association to creativity and inspiration. And that's something that I really value about all of my Vata friends is that though they are spacey, though it's hard for them to make decisions, they are so creative and ingenious. My partner is actually like the textbook Vata. He loves the snow. He's like essentially a professional snowboarder. He's like all about the snowy mountains and he's so creative. And so again, I just really value that. And as we have the turn of the season, I have found that it's almost like the environment has thrown a cold bucket of water on my intensity. Like I'm a very pitta person. I tend to run hot. I have all the pitta qualities. And now it's like, oh, thank goodness. I feel this relief in my system, in my skin, in my energy. I'm waking up and writing poetry again. It's just it's so invited. I love it. I find that it is so balancing to my system to be near this kind of cooler, crisper weather. And this is really my first proper winter in Vegas. We usually travel for winter, so it's really nice. So I wanted to mention that. And I also wanted to mention Saturn because we're going to be talking about Saturn today, the planet of boundaries, being restricted, being humbled, having hard lessons. And as soon as Saturn entered Pisces this year, according to the sidereal system, this is a sidereal podcast. So we're using the sidereal system of astrology on this podcast. As soon as Saturn entered Pisces in March, it was just boom. I have felt so much intensity. My dog got bitten by a rattlesnake in April. And essentially since then, there's been something significant every month. And I've found that it's been a really beautiful lesson. One, because Saturn does require us to be humble. And something that I've really been meditating on is that there's so much abundance in life, and there's so much grace, and there's so much to be grateful for, and there's so much beauty. And when we enter this material reality, it's with the agreement that it's not just going to be sunshine and rainbows. There's also the tamasic qualities, there's decay, there's challenge, there's destruction. And that is part of this experience. And so I've been really trying to be present with that. And I've also been very present with the fact that Saturn loves responsibility and loves personal accountability. And I've been doing this practice ever since Saturn shifted into Pisces. Anything that goes wrong, I want to see how I contributed into the making of something going wrong. Like, how could I have changed my behavior to avoid this situation? Or how can I best show up to respond to this? When something goes sideways, when something doesn't go the way that I was planning for it to go, how can I be as responsible, ethical, and disciplined in how I approach these things? And I found that it's made it a lot more peaceful. And I find that when I take personal accountability, like radical personal accountability in my life, it actually gives me power to grow. Because if I'm in this world where everything is happening to me and I'm a victim to my environment, I have no control over it because everything's happening to me. But if I can see how I'm creating the circumstances, how I'm buying into it, how I'm giving power to something, I can change my behavior to take power back. And then we get into boundaries, but I'm not going to share everything about me and my boundaries because that's not what this podcast is about, though I would if you were curious. But I want to talk about you and I want to talk about your boundaries. So we're going to get into this podcast. I hope that any of that was helpful. I have not had the easiest year. I would say 2023 was a slam dunk of all of the years of my life. That was really fun. And this one's certainly not the worst, like by a long shot, but it's had its trials. It's had its tribulations. Saturn in Pisces has definitely given me a little bit of a run for my money. So maybe y'all can relate, maybe not, but hopefully there's something in that for you all. Okay. So getting into the upcoming days here, Saturn is going to direct on November 27th. And Mercury is going to direct on November 29th. And so we've had all these planets retrograde. Saturn's been retrograde, Jupiter turned retrograde, Mercury is retrograde. All of these planets in water signs just bringing up so much emotion, ups and downs, waves, some of this emotional intensity. Now, it could have also brought inspiration and creativity and romance, poetic energy too, of course. And, even externally in the world around us, there's been a lot of intensity, a lot of going back, a lot of looking at the past, things coming to the surface as we anticipated that they would. So now, on November 27th, Saturn is finally going to direct in Pisces at 0 degrees of Pisces. And Saturn is the planet of boundaries and restriction, hard-earned lessons, hard work. Saturn allows us to be disciplined and structured. Things happen externally, I would say mostly because of Saturn and Mars. We have to have passion and inspiration and drive. And we also have to have discipline and structure. And so when Saturn is retrograde in Pisces with Neptune, if you have been feeling stuck or stagnant or confused, directionless, this is definitely part of the reason why. I would say it's all of the planets retrograde, but Saturn particularly. And now Saturn is finally going to direct. And so as Saturn goes direct, this is going to free us up to feel a little bit more confident when it comes to making big life choices, when it comes to having clarity. Our ideas or creative projects may really take shape. There may be more, again, of a clear direction. And that could be in creative projects, in our family life, in our work life. Things just may feel, again, more like crystallized. Like, okay, I actually have this tangible idea to work with. I can get all of the pieces put in place. I can get the details finalized, and I can feel confident to move forward. That's what Saturn Direct can really support us with. Now, I do want to say that Saturn is still in Pisces. And these two energies are fundamentally different, right? Pisces is dreamy and ethereal and poetic and romantic and like far out. And Saturn is like grounded and practical and likes to work on things. And so with Saturn and Pisces, it's like it's really breaking down illusions and it's breaking down fantasy in a way. And it's bringing this more technical, scientific approach. I think that people are leaning more into spirituality. I saw something recently. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. I know they're super, like, some people really don't like them. Some people do. We should do their charts. That's a case study for YouTube. I've done it on Patreon before for sure. But they have a celebrity psychic. And so they're doing an interview talking about the celebrity psychic. I'm seeing all of these videos of Sylvia Brown, who I'm definitely going to do a case study on, but Sylvia Brown is like circulating. It's like there's more of this focus on spirituality and spirituality as a tool, astrology as a tool, tarot as a tool, and religion. Like, oh my gosh, all of this karmic stuff with religion is coming up. And Pisces is one of the signs that has to do with our spiritual beliefs. And so it's like, we're still going to have this focus on spirituality and this kind of ethereal energy, this breaking of illusions, charlatans being revealed, people diving into their spiritual life, maybe even becoming more religious because Saturn brings like a structure to things. So that we're going to continue to see through the entire Saturn and Pisces transit, which is through early 2028. So that we're going to see for a while. And the other thing I want to note is that Saturn is still with Neptune. So even though we're going to have more clarity, we're going to have invitations to move forward, because when planets are retrograde, it's kind of like pulling us back. When they go direct, there can be invitations to move forward, opportunities to move forward, clarity in moving forward. But the Saturn and Neptune is going to impact society for a while. So there's still a lot of nebulous energy. There's still a lot of karma around secrets and illusions. So that's just something that I want to put a pin in and for all of us to be aware of. I also want to say that when planets direct, karmic events can come up. So we can see big events in our personal lives or in the media. So like religion, spirituality, illusions, things like that. And maybe even water, oil, gas. Saturn and Pisces could bring things up in regards to that as well. Now, Mercury is going to direct on November 29th. So this is only 2 days later. So Saturn is going to direct and then Mercury is going direct. It's like this sudden like burst of like clarity. Thank God. I can see clearly now. Things are making more sense. I don't feel confused anymore. Like that's kind of like the energy that I'm getting here. Mercury is going to direct in Libra. Remember that Mercury went retrograde in Scorpio? So Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, all of this stuff with the Epstein files, all of this like dark, hidden, strange, mysterious stuff coming up to the surface, it's going to shift back into Libra on the 23rd. And then it's going to go direct on the 29th. So Mercury's going direct in the sign of Libra. And I actually see this as being really beautiful. I think for us in our personal lives, it's like smoother communication, an opportunity to repair conflict, an opportunity to find balance and harmony with our words. If there have been any disagreements or miscommunications or things that have landed sideways, Mercury and Libra will offer the opportunity to come together and to be harmonious and to find balance. Now, with Mercury going direct, though, there can still be these kind of sudden events involving travel or technology, because even though Mercury is going direct, when it has that station, when it pauses to go direct, it can be super intense. So kind of watch around the 29th. There can be something involving internet servers, electricity, technology, travel. There could even be like truth coming to the surface as well, because Mercury is communication. It is in the sign of law and order and justice. So there could be something really powerful that's said. There could be something really powerful that's shared. And remember that events can happen a few days before, a few days after. So Saturn goes direct on the 27th. Mercury goes direct on the 29th. Now, I do want to say, as Saturn is going direct, as Mercury is going direct, with Mercury being communication, with Saturn being boundaries, I do think that this is a really good opportunity to communicate boundaries. And this has actually been a theme in my personal life recently. And so I'm wondering if it is relevant in your lives as well. I'm in this coaching program right now, and I have this incredible opportunity to work with like the most amazing people. And there's this woman who I just gravitated towards. We have almost the same chart. It is weird. She's like older than I am, so there are different placements, but we have like several of the same astrological placements. And her moon is actually in Ashleisha, and I'm in Ashleisha rising. But anyway, we were talking today, and we're both kind of bumping up against boundaries with people. And I was like, well, if it's happening for both of us, maybe it's happening for the collective. And I think that the really interesting thing about boundaries is that we often think that they're for other people. So we think that when we set boundaries, it's like, you can't do this. I'm not accepting this behavior. And though that is a part of boundaries, boundaries are really for ourselves. I am or am not willing to engage in this conversation. I am or am not willing to be spoken to this way. I am or am not willing to engage this relationship that I know is not the type of relationship I want. I am or am not willing to allow myself to be the second choice, right? It's like boundaries have a lot more to do with what we are willing to invest in. And that kind of comes back to Saturn's responsibility. So Saturn is boundaries, Saturn is responsibility, personal accountability. And so Saturn is just so prevalent right now that I wanted to offer that if there is anything in your life that you're feeling uncomfortable with, or you're having a tough time with someone, maybe you feel that you're not being respected, you're not feeling that your needs are being met, of course we need to communicate. Everything in our life is relationship. Of course, we need to communicate and ask for needs to be met, share expectations verbally. But I think that things really start to shift when we take ownership and we sit in the driver's seat of our life, and we stop relying on other people to show up for us completely if we're not even showing up for ourselves completely. How can we show up to act as an advocate for ourselves? And with that power of Mercury, it's like, how can we communicate compassionately and balanced and diplomatically and fair? How can we also pay attention to the needs of other people while kindly and compassionately stating what we are and are not willing to invest our time, energy, resource, love into? My entire life began to shift when I realized that for myself. But it's like an evolving thing. Like it just continues to unravel how we can gain more and more personal power and sovereignty over our life. But that, again, like, I am inspired by these transits to speak to this. I think it is such a powerful time with the Saturn and Mercury going direct, and kind of the transits that we're preparing for as we move into 2026, which I'm so excited to share my 2026 predictions with everybody. So, as promised, we'll go ahead and get into Venus in Scorpio. Venus will be in Scorpio from November 26th through December 19th. Again, we'll cover this more on the December horoscope, but I just want to give you a little bit of a heads up because Venus is moving into Scorpio pretty quickly here. And it's not every year that we have Venus and Mars in the sign of Scorpio. So it is Scorpio season. We have the sun in Scorpio, we have Mars in Scorpio, and now we have Venus entering the party. And Scorpio, remember, is a sign of intensity, passion, alchemy, magic. It's the secrets and the hidden information and the taboo and intimacy. And it's also controlling and manipulative and vengeful. Like those are probably the less savory aspects of Scorpio. And Venus is the planet of love and intimacy and relationships, diplomacy, our creativity, and it also has to do with beauty too, of course. And so, first of all, when Venus enters Scorpio, this is a profound time for intimacy because Scorpio loves intimacy. Venus is the planet of intimacy. It's the time of going deep, learning about the people around us, learning about ourselves, discovering more about how we relate to intimacy, how we relate to individuals in our lives, how we let others in, which parts of ourselves we allow others to see, who we are when others are around, how we're kind of different depending on who we're with. It's like, where do we feel the most authentic? Who do we feel the most ourselves around? And who is it that brings out the best in us? It's like being really aware of these things. And all of this is interwoven in intimacy with these individuals or environments. And Venus is joining Mars. And Mars, as I mentioned, is this planet of getting things done, driving us forward. It's extremely passionate and it has a lot of desire. And Venus has a lot of desire as well. So it's like, this is a super passionate combination. And I want to say, right, with a warning, we want to be really mindful of manipulative behavior, secretive behavior, controlling, being vindictive, vengeful, all of that. We want to be aware of those tendencies in ourselves and in others. But on the love front, some of us may be having like really passionate experiences. Scorpio's magnetic. We may feel magnetically drawn to someone, but it could also be something. We may feel really passionate about a creative project or a business endeavor. We might feel passionately drawn to a certain place. It really depends on where this is happening in our chart and what exactly is happening. But it can almost be like this mesmerizing energy. And it is a time of magic. It's beautiful for asana, kundalini, tantra. Sexuality can be heightened, certainly. Venus and Mars and Scorpio. It's like exactly as it sounds like. And we may be meeting people that we feel this gravitational pull towards. Also, like astrology, mysticism, Venus can bring this sense of enjoyment. So it's like finding joy in tarot, finding joy in astrology, studying these things, and bringing beauty too. I would say that if you're wanting to get a mala or something beautiful to adorn your altar with, it could be a really beautiful time, like making your spiritual life more beautiful and aesthetic. And making your transformation beautiful and aesthetic, really welcoming all of the stages of change. It's not always, clean and put together. Sometimes it's sloppy, messy, tearful, but all of it can be beautiful, right? So those are some notes to be aware of with Venus and Scorpio. But I also want to say, of course, globally, there's still going to be this focus on the taboo, hidden mysteries coming to the surface, a focus on women and sexuality. There can be some really deep, interesting things that are coming up. But I also think that this Mercury direct in Libra, I think that this is going to be interesting. I think that it may bring information to the surface that is harmonizing in some way or brings a lot of illumination for the collective. So that is what I'll share so far. Again, I'll follow up with you all on the December horoscope. If you want to hear more about Venus and Scorpio for your sign, definitely sign up for Patreon. So that's what I have for today. I hope that it was helpful. I know it's not a super conventional podcast. It's a little bit less conventional than usual. I also feel like a mouth breather because it's kind of cold out, so my nose is a little stuffy, so I'm sorry about that. But I hope that you all have a beautiful and sovereign weekend. I hope that you stand in your power, and I hope that you're able to clearly communicate your needs, hopes, and wants, and clearly stand in your own boundaries. So that's what I have for today. If you would like weekly horoscopes, it's patreon.com/astrologynowpodcast. My website is innerknowing.yoga. And my Instagram is astrologynow_podcast, and my YouTube is listed in the descriptions. I'll see you all next week. Again, my name is Christine Rodriguez. This is Astrology Now.